Recording in progress.
Madam Chairperson, it is 5:31 and we do appear to have a quorum at this point for the Planning Commission.
Hi, everybody. I've got to get rid of my.
Anybody else hear that background sound?
Okay. Hey, Mike, can you hear me?
Yeah.
No.
If everyone at this point except the chairman would mute their computers because we're getting quite a bit of feedback.
Can you hear me, Mike?
Yes,
Okay, got it. What's the name of him? What's his name?
we'll be starting the meeting here shortly.
Okay.
If everybody could mute their computers and their phones just for a second, so the chairman, because we're getting quite a bit of feedback.
Okay, what do you say? Can you repeat that?
Could you mute your computer? Because we're getting quite a bit of feedback because the speakers and then it goes to the microphone and so.
Mute.
Are you still there, Madam Chairperson?
Okay, I'm here.
Okay,
Hi, everybody. I'm back.
okay,
Okay, we can call the meeting to order, correct? Or is everyone here? Do we have a
Yes.
quorum? Okay. Time is now 5:33. Call the meeting to order. And staff, would you like to do a roll call?
I can do one. Okay. Chair Moore,
Here.
Commissioner Compost.
Here.
Commissioner Dolan,
Here.
Commissioner Aguirre,
Here.
okay. Commissioner Rand,
Present.
okay. Commissioner Rogers, Vice Chair Rogers,
Here.
okay.
All right. And did everyone have a chance to go over the minutes from last meeting
Yes.
of October 12th, 2021?
Yes.
Did anyone see anything that needed to be corrected or changed?
Barring any changes, I'll move we accept the minutes as written.
I'll second that.
Okay, was that Commissioner Rand?
Correct.
Okay, so a motion has been made to accept the minutes from October 12th, 2021, and has been seconded by Commissioner Rand. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those who oppose? Okay, minutes have been approved. And we can move on to our active agenda. 4A, the continued public hearing, conditional use permit for application 2021-0058, the request for a conditional use permit to allow for the construction of a 2-unit recreational vehicle park in a B2 general commercial zone. Conditional use may be permitted after approval by the Planning Commission in accordance with SMC 17.64.020I and SMC 17.72. The property is located at 10 Maple Grove on the northwest corner of the intersection of Maple Grove Road and Yakima Valley Highway. Do we want to have any discussion before we open this up to public hearing?
I believe the applicant is on the Zoom call.
Okay. Dave, I can't recall, did you want to recuse yourself from the vote?
Yes, I'm going to recuse myself from this point on this particular topic.
Okay.
Because my daughter is the applicant and she's going to speak first. And then I would say a few things as well, as the
Okay.
owner of the property.
Okay. Staff, do we have to vote on Dave Rand's recusal, or do we just go forward?
We can just go forward as he has recused
Okay.
himself, so.
Okay. And did you have any items on this, Mike Shuttleworth?
Yes, I have a staff report that I would like to enter into the record. And basic comments is this is a 2-unit RV park. Our Sunnyside Municipal Code does allow an RV park. It doesn't specify on the number of units or anything. We do have chapter 16.14 that provides criteria for RV parks. And so I have provided those conditions in there, and they're probably part of my recommended conditions. We did get a comment from the health district about the septic system, that they would have to review the system. And with that being said, the staff recommends approval subject to the conditions, and those conditions as outlined in the municipal code. That's my comments, Madam Chairperson.
Okay. Commissioners, did you have anything to say before we open it up to the public hearing?
I don't.
Okay, let's go ahead and open it up to the public hearing, and if there's someone who would like to come forward, state your name and what city you live in.
Britton,
Yes.
oh, just about the time I'm asking you this, they figured out what the feedback is or something. Somebody has some feedback coming through that makes it hard for me to hear. I think it's 509-830-0275.
No, you're not getting feedback from me.
It is Rand.
Oh.
Can you hear Tom, or you're still getting a lot of feedback?
No, I was, but then it went off for a little bit and then it comes back on and goes off, comes on. We'll see. Just go ahead. Let's just see if we can get through it.
Okay, where we were is we were opening up the public hearing for the RV park on Maple Grove. So if anyone wants to come forward and state your name and what city you live in, please do so.
Jennifer Southwick,
Jennifer.
Sunnyside.
Hi, Jennifer, go ahead.
Okay. So I'm the applicant for this conditional use permit. And I wanted to start with, late last year, Sunnyside Meat Packers, we actually had a smoker catch fire at about 5 o'clock in the morning due to a technical malfunction in the smoker unit. We were really lucky that we actually had the RV behind our shop occupied with an overnight security employee. Because there was someone there, we were able to get the fire department involved and get the fire completely extinguished before it spread to any other structure or landscape. We have a gated entrance to prohibit vehicles from entering our parking lot after hours. However, it is accessible by foot. And we have often had non-desirable people snooping around late at night or early morning. When we smoke our hams and our bacons, it sometimes goes into the middle of the night. Someone has to check the fire every 1 to 2 hours during the smoking process. That tends to be me. There have been several times I have shown up at my shop in the middle of the night and had to run people off our premises. This creates not only a concern for my building, my products, my equipment, but also my own safety. Having on-site security that can keep an eye on everything will eliminate a lot of these concerns for everybody. The other RV is simply a break room where our employees can rest, eat, study, etc. It's just a place to get out of our shop. We only use it for that purpose. I completed the application and turned it in, and Mike called me to tell me that we needed, excuse me, sorry. When Mike Shuttlesworth approached me originally about the RVs, he said it was a great idea and I just needed to complete a conditional use application to get the variance to use the RVs for security. I completed the application and turned it in. He called to tell me that we needed to submit a plot diagram for the application. I happened to go to the office on another matter, and he pulled out the conditional use application and informed me I needed to add the verbiage 2-unit RV park in order to get the permit. So I did as I was instructed. The next conversation was when Mike came out to my establishment to take pictures for this public hearing. And at that point, he explained to me that he doesn't think it will be approved because we don't meet the requirements of an RV park. The bottom line, I didn't ask for an RV park. I don't want an RV park. All I want is to protect my business and eliminate issues for our first responders. On-site overnight security would mean much less potential for crime, safety of my employees and myself, and someone on-site to keep a close eye on the fire at all times. That's all I'm asking for. I don't want all of this extra stuff. I see RVs all over town at businesses that are occupied, and I don't understand why I'm being told I have to have an RV park. So those are my thoughts.
Okay, so I have a question, Jennifer. So what you're looking for is just the 2 spaces. You don't plan on any future growth of more RV spaces. It's just the 2, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Jennifer?
No, I do not.
Okay. Was there, Jennifer, is there anything else you wanted to add?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Thanks so much for tonight coming in. We can move to the next person on the matter, which I believe is Dave.
Yes. Yes. My name is David Rand. I reside in Sunnyside, or in Sunnyside School District, I should say. I reside out of town, and I operate a couple different businesses in town, and own a few other properties. And on this particular property, when I purchased this property, it seems to be that the building department has been kind of, and this is all on record, has been kind of a nuisance trying to stop me from doing any improvements on this piece of property. One, because it was first entitled to be a marijuana shop. And then after we decided, due to the Sunnyside council not wanting a marijuana shop, we pursued different business with our building. And as Jennifer stated, we've been getting some desirables. And like I stated last month, we've had some people like camping out in my trees in the back. And so if everybody's noticed over this last couple of weeks, I've pretty much cut down most of the trees because I don't want to have to go in there in the middle of the night and worry about my daughter or my employees that have to go and operate a business, to have to worry about somebody coming out of those trees through the back, as we already have a couple times. And as Jennifer stated, the mobile homes were put there. We did not know that we had to have a variance or anything. And when I was notified of that, we stopped using both of the units. For the simple fact is that I'm trying to do this the proper way. I discussed this matter with Mike for the last 5 months or so, and as I've explained to him over and over, that we did not intentionally ever ask for an RV park. And he keeps telling me that this is the only way possible that we can keep those RVs in the back is if we have this as an RV park. I can't find any ordinance in Sunnyside that states that. I can't find any laws for the state of Washington that states that. I just find that Sunnyside is being the building department is being very difficult, like they always have been. And this is making it to where businesses are not wanting to come to Sunnyside because our building department is so hard to work with. And they try to take somebody like Jennifer that was trying to do the right thing, and Mike has twisted this to where he says it's got to be an RV park. Well, from my understanding is that there has been a written response to this RV park, and it was notified to me last month and the month before, and Jennifer, the applicant, and me, the owner, have not read a copy of that letter because, Mike, you still haven't given us that copy of the letter. So those are my concerns, is that we want to make Sunnyside a community that's bigger and better, but our building department is holding back a small business that is requesting a break room so that the employees can have a better break room than sitting in our little room where the USDA, or excuse me, the Washington Department of Ag has said, hey, that's a really nice thing that you got back there for your employees. And the second trailer is back there, so as Jennifer stated, that if an employee has to stay all night because we're smoking and we're in our busy season, and Jennifer has to go down there almost every night right now because they're smoking 4 to 5 days a week. Because we can't put one of our employees in there because the city has been dragging this out for now 5 months that we've had it on, we've extended this public hearing. And this is what prolongs businesses from being able to prosper in our community. So I'm really sorry to have to speak this way because I am one of the planning commissioners of Sunnyside. And we as a family, we really love this town. But if it's going to be so hard to build and work with our building department, then the businesses don't come to our town. And I'm gonna say this.
Let's try and keep this just specific to the RV park. I don't think Dave, you're gonna have a problem getting this passed, Dave. I think we're all in favor for what you need.
I hope not, but we just do not want an RV park. And I don't know how much more I can stress that we don't want an RV park. We didn't request an RV park. So, Madam Chair, as you requested, basically, I'm just going to stop at this point.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Dave?
I have a question for Dave. Why is it necessary to have a trailer? Are you not a general contractor?
Well, Mr. Dolan, I will respond to that back. Is not everybody's rich. It doesn't matter if I'm a general contractor or not. I've invested $400,000 into that property. Where have you invested any money, Mr. Dolan, into this community?
Actually, David, I've invested a lot of my time into this community, and I would like to say
I
that,
invest my time as well, Mr. Dolan.
okay,
So
so
I think me being a general contractor,
Let's give each other a chance to speak, guys.
I don't think me being a general contractor has anything to do with me wanting to put a trailer in there.
I'm
None
not-
whatsoever.
Okay, my question is, would it work better for you to have a structure there that it wouldn't, by having a trailer, I think it automatically reverts to an RV park.
No, it doesn't automatically revert to an RV park, Mr. Dolan.
To create a space for RVs is not. Can you speak to that, Mike?
I'm not sure how to respond to that. We do in our code allow an RV park in a commercial zone. We do allow in the commercial zone, I believe, an accessory dwelling type unit if you want to put a unit, as long as it's secondary to the structure. Other than that, I really don't have any comments on that.
The reason I asked you, Dave, is because I would think that putting up a small structure to accommodate your security and your break room would not be a very expensive venture. By putting in the trailers, you're automatically, it seems to me that it would automatically direct you towards possible future expansion of an RV park. And that's what the first question you were asked was.
Well, Mr. Dolan, as a business person, we don't have to answer to you or to the city what our future plans are when we go to expand.
Park. Mm-hmm. Just look at, ¿verdad? They know what he.
Does anybody else have any questions for Dave?
Well, I'm still waiting to have mine answered.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Would it make more sense, Dave? Would it not make more sense?
Mr. Dolan, I don't have to answer that. I don't have to answer your question at this time. I'm not going to answer your question because I think your question is unrealistic. And I think that you're trying to pry into a financial discussion of why or why not I want to do it. We have requested this, and this is what we're requesting. We're not requesting to build another series of buildings.
I have a question for Mike, if that's all right.
Yes, go ahead.
Mike.
Mike, does this open the door for expansion of further expansion of a RV park in that lot?
The applicant can make application for additional units if he wishes. Right now, this application is for a 2-unit RV park.
And that would be without changing the zoning?
Correct.
No, tonto.
Is there anyone else in the or Dave? Unless there's any more questions for Dave.
Well, I want to respond to that. Mr. Dolan, are we worried about competition in town for the other local RV park that is issued a letter of complaint and doesn't want to see this go through? Is that what this is all about? Is that you don't want to see further development in our town on the main street? Because what I could do is I could withdraw this application. I could redraw up the application, and on a 28-acre piece of property, I could put in a really big RV park. And then what would we do? So are we asking questions because you don't want another RV park in town because you don't want the Bealers to have competition? Is that what this is about, Mr. Dolan? Oh, you can laugh all you want because that's the way you're looking at it. Why would you not want a business to prosper?
That's not anything what I'm looking at, Mr. Rand. What I was looking at possibly was suggesting to you a better way of progressing and maybe, turning that corner into a very popular place to pick up hams and turkeys and all the different meats you smoke.
Hey, Mr. Dolan, would you like to hear something about my business? I'm going to give you a little bit of update about why Sunnyside Meat Packers is doing this. Sunnyside Meat Packers won a $150,000 grant because we were brave enough and took the challenge to open a meat shop during the pandemic. And then my daughter also won the Enterprise Challenge for Yakima, Kittitas County,
Yes,
small
por,
businesses for $10,000.
pero
We
no,
represent Sunnyside. We can take our money somewhere else if the planning commissioner, Mr. Dolan, doesn't want Mr. Rand's money in town. The city of Grandview has already asked us to come there. So,
Do what makes you happy.
I mean, it's people like you, Mr. Dolan, that come up with crazy questions for an owner that make no sense. So you want me to answer your question? I answered your question now. It's none of your business why I don't want to build a stick structure in the back.
Okay, thank you for your answer. Let's move on to the business of the commission.
Well, that is the business of the commission. You asked a question.
Yeah, and you took all night to answer it. So let's move on, Dave.
I'm allowed to take as many minutes as I need to answer that, Mr. Dolan.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions for Dave? Okay. I heard something I couldn't hear. Did somebody say something? Okay. Is there anyone else in the audience on behalf of Sunnyside Meatpackers that would like to speak? Or otherwise? Okay. Staff, are we able to close the public hearing?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go ahead and close the public hearing. I have a couple things I'd like to comment on. One is, staff, is it possible to call this something other than an RV park? Is it possible to have another name for it? Just RV spaces or something else? I think park is misleading. I think it creates a window that can confuse people.
Yeah, the problem under our current code is that's the definition we have as an RV park. We have talked about it, and I know at the last meeting we talked a little bit about it, looking at like our accessory dwellings and that other things. And I think RVs was one of the things that we were looking at. I was going to try to put it on tonight's agenda. However, we have a fairly full agenda, and I've been gathering information. I found a fairly good study that the City of Seattle did that talks about this and other things that I think would be useful for the Planning Commission to look at it. And it may be something in the future we want to look at amending ordinances and come up with a different definition, and maybe saying, you know, a 2-unit RV park is handled differently than through the conditional use process. But right now, the process is the conditional use, and we have the RV park, which basically does not define the number of units. So even if one person wanted to come in and put an RV on their property, they would have to go through the same process.
Okay. I think that's something to look at, because I don't like the reference to it be called a park, and if that's all we have right now, then understandable. But I don't like the verbiage on that. The other thing I'd like to add is you know, I don't have a problem with the RV spaces for many reasons. One, it looks like the place is occupied. Two, with the vagrants we have in town, the loiterers, the mentally ill, the police being held to a different standard than they're used to, the theft, the homelessness, the drug deals, the drug addiction. I don't have a problem with them having the 2 RVs on their space, and I appreciate the fact that they're clearing out all that debris in the back with the trees and stuff. I think that makes it safer for them and looks cleaner all around. I know that we've been robbed so many times. If I could put an RV park here, I would love to do it just to make it look like someone's here all night. So I understand that part of having a business. If someone were to come and rob Dave Rand, they'd get away with all kinds of money from the customer and from him. And it's a terrible situation that I think Sunnyside's and surrounding areas are starting to feel. the theft is unreal. So I personally don't have a problem with it. I do have a problem with it being, if he wants to have an RV park in the future, then yes, he's got to go through the steps of creating an RV park, just like anyone else would open up a multiple space RV park. But those are just my thoughts. Commissioners, do you have anything else you want to add or ask Mike? Hello?
Hello.
No, I don't have.
I'm getting a whole bunch of conversation from people that are not on our call.
If we could have everybody mute themselves until they're ready to speak, that would be appreciated, because we are recording this, and in order to get an accurate recording, we would need that. Thank you.
Okay.
This is Commissioner Gary. I think that Dave's waited a long time for this, and it just seems like one hiccup after another. So I would like to make a motion to allow business to have these 2 units. I don't see a problem with it. Like I say, they have a lot of money out there. They need to have these for them and for their employees. So I make a motion to approve this.
I'll second.
Okay, were there any other questions or comments from other commissioners before we make a vote? Okay, so we've actually got three different recommendations from staff. If you look on page, it doesn't have a page, where it says Planning Commission decision, there's 1, 2, and 3. So if everyone can look at that, I think it's page 9 on the very back side.
The recommended motion states it pretty clearly, but
so it sounds like Mike Aguirre, Commissioner Aguirre, wanted to do either 2 or 3. Mike, can you specify that?
Yeah, I'm still looking. I'm trying to find page 9.
2 would be recommend approval subject to specified conditions and forward on to council for final decision, or accept and recommend approval of a development and forward on to for final decision. So staff, do you want to explain the differences between those two, just to be clear?
So one of them is basically recommend approval subject to the conditions that we specified in the application. The other one is just recommending approval of development and forwarding it to the city council for final decision. So one is the specified conditions, and actually 2 and 3 will pretty much be the same because our code requires the conditions. I have not recommended any additional conditions other than those that are in the code.
Okay.
So I would recommend the one that basically allows it and then disapprove from the city.
Okay, so go ahead and make that a motion if you could, and then just read the sentence behind it.
This sentence on.
Well, recommend approval subject to specified conditions and then forward to council, correct?
Well, yeah, just anything that would, I mean, just something that, whatever the recommendation is, I want this thing just to be done, over with. Let him have those 2 structures, and that's it. This has been going on too far for him. We need to get this taken care of.
So Commissioner Aguirre has made a motion to recommend approval subject to specified conditions and forward onto the council for final decision. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, that was Commissioner
Rogers.
Roland. Let's go ahead and a second has been made, and all those in favor say aye.
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 All those who oppose? Okay, so this motion has been made to move on to council for final decision. Thank you, Jennifer and Dave, for coming in tonight and speaking on behalf of Sunnyside Meatpackers.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so it looks like we're down to B, the public hearing. Variance application 2021-0511, a variance application to reduce the required 20-foot street setback in SMC 17.16.04B from 20 feet to 18 feet for the construction of a front porch on a lot zoned R2, medium density residential. This site is located at 1510 Denson Avenue on lots 19 through 22 of block 19 of Denson Addition number 4. Staff, do you have anything for us on that?
Yes, Madam Chairman, just first though, I want the record to show, and I'm assuming Dave Rand would like to be back on the commission for the next two items.
Yes, thank you. Dave, would you like to jump back on to the panel? Unless Commissioner Rand, are you there?
He may
No,
have
looks
left.
like he's. No, looks like he might be gone unless he calls back in and realizes he accidentally got off the phone there. So.
Okay. Well, we'll
Okay,
move on.
so-
If he does, then we'll note it in the record when he comes back on, just so we. have the
Okay.
record. So we have a variance application. This is an existing dwelling in an older part of town. What the applicant is requesting is a reduction of 2 feet to the front setback to construct a covered porch. As you see in the findings, they're general findings. There's not a lot of specifics on there. I have pictures there to show because he did start the construction and then he stopped after we noted that he needed to stop. And then he applied for this variance. There are findings that the planning commission must make related to a variances, that there's, extraordinary circumstances. It's necessary to preserve and enjoy the substantial property rights. The alteration does not detrimental to the public welfare and interest to public, and the use by the applicant will not be would not be of general classification different than accessory use. So basically, this particular dwelling use is allowed. This house has already been constructed and does meet the setbacks. However, the front of the house is such that there is no room to put any kind of a covered porch beyond the existing housing structure. This particular porch and the use there would improve the look of that particular home, and staff recommends approving it because we see this as basically a 10% reduction in the setbacks, and we normally recommend approval for those where we can't find anything that's really detrimental. That's my comments, Madam Chairperson.
Okay, great. Commissioners, do you have any questions for staff before we open up to a public hearing on this?
Mike, I just have one question. This is Commissioner Rand. On the overview, is that a structure next to it? Next to the road, that white thing?
It's just kind of a covered tin thing. It doesn't have any sides or
like one of those portable carport things.
Yes, I believe so.
Oh, okay. Because on the picture, it's kind of blurry. So that's not obstructing any of the view on the corner, because I drove over there and took a look at it. No, I think that was the only thing I had is on there. I just wanted to clarify what that was. So okay, that's it.
Mr. Rand, we just wanted the record to show that you're back participating on the planning commission, if that's okay.
Oh, I was muted. Yeah, I was muted. Yeah, I heard you say to mute everything earlier until you had something to say.
Okay, yeah.
So I've been listening. I just was muted.
Okay.
Great. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and open up this to public hearing. If there's anyone here on behalf of Graciela Rodriguez or any neighbors, please come forward and state your name and the city that you reside in.
I believe the applicant is on. If you'd like to speak, you have to unmute yourself and just provide the planning commission with your comments.
Okay, thank you guys for giving me a minute to speak with you guys. First thing that I want to say, I'm really sorry to start to do that with auto permit. I mean, it's kind of like, it was my mistake. Kind of like I was confused because I tried to get a permit since the last year with all the COVID-19, you know. I mean, I'm assuming it's not getting permits. So that's what I started to do the front porch. One thing, it was because when it rains, start getting all the rain hits my window, and I noticed the bottom part of the window start getting rotted. That's what I'm starting to do that. I'm working construction for like 16, 17 years, you know, just do roofing on the Seattle area. And I'm starting to do this. I'm pretty sure at some point I can be capped for the city. And but I did it as what it has to be, you know, in case that happens, what that means that happens. But I mean, I really appreciate it. You guys approve it. I mean, it's kind of like all my neighbors around this area, I think they're excited and they start working on their own houses too. So what that means at some point, I affect the area is to everybody make their houses better and give it better view to our community right here. So that's what I'm saying. If you guys approve it, let me go forward. So I really appreciate that. That's all what I have to do.
Mr. Rodriguez, this is Commissioner Moore. Could you tell me what your first name is?
Actually, Graciela, she's my wife. My name is Israel.
Israel. Okay, Israel. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I think that, especially with water damage, I can see why you'd want to build an overhang. So I think that if anyone has any questions for Mr. Rodriguez, please go ahead and ask him.
I'd just like to thank our applicant for wanting to improve his neighborhood and trying to beautify his own house, and that helps, like he says, when one neighbor starts, the other neighbors kind of trickle through, and maybe if we approve this, we can get him, he can finish it up, and the rest of the neighborhood might see some change and start beautifying the rest of the neighborhood. So I'd like to thank you for investing in our community.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mr. Rodriguez, did you have any other comments for us?
No, I think that's all.
All right, we sure appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And we can close the public hearing.
Madam Chairperson,
yes.
I do have a written comment that was submitted. If I can go ahead and read
please.
that real quick. It says,
Yes,
I,
please.
Laura Thomason, I am very pleased to see the beautiful transformation to the property at 1510 Denson Avenue. In my opinion, the porch is a beautiful asset to the home, and it does not in any way impact drivers or pedestrians passing through, nor does it affect the neighboring properties. The homeowner appears to work very hard at maintaining their property. As a neighbor, it would be more of a problem if there were weeds and weeds waist tall and garages outside to have non-working vehicles lined up on the street. It is very clear that the homeowner at 1510 Denton Avenue has made a huge improvement to the home, but this is also a positive impact for our neighborhood. That's the written comments, Madam Chairperson.
Very nice. What was that lady's name or person's name?
It's Laura Tollefson, Tollefson.
Yep. Great, thank you.
That was a good
Okay.
letter from her.
All right, so we can close the public hearing, and Commissioners, do you have any questions for staff? Okay, there is a recommended motion on page 9. Mike, does this need to be, this doesn't go to council, does it? This is just approved through us and then it's done?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, well, I'd like to make a motion. If there's no other questions from commissioners, do we concur with the findings and conclusions as set forth in the report and approve for a variance of a 2-foot reduction and require the 20-foot street setback on the 4th front street?
I'll second.
And who is that?
Commissioner Aguirre?
Aguirre, thank you, Commissioner Aguirre. And that is seconded by Commissioner Aguirre. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those who oppose? Okay. Motion has been approved for the 20-foot street setback. Okay, and next we have item C. Hold on. Losing my pages. Hold on. Here we go.
I'm sorry to bother you guys. Am I good to go?
Yes, Mr. Rodriguez, thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great night, guys.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so we're at item number C. I feel like I'm missing something on my sheet. It looks like we've got a plat application 2021-0243 for Blacktop Materials LLC. Has made an application to divide 28 acres into a total of 120 lots. The proposed development will be located south of Riverside Avenue, east of Heffron Road, north of Southwest Crescent Avenue, and Merrick Avenue in the southwest quarter of the southeast quarter of Section 26, and the northwest quarter of the northeast quarter of Section 35. All in Township 10, Range 22. Staff, what do you have for us on that?
Okay, this is a preliminary plat for 120 lots. This piece of property consists of 7 parcels, but it's all contiguous. It is, the lots are such that they are creating some new interior roads, but they also, we will have the lots accessing onto existing city streets. As part of this review process, we did ask them to conduct a traffic study. The result of the traffic study was that there were no off-site impacts as a result of this project. So none of the intersections will fall below a certain level of service. One of the things in the staff report that you will note is the existing streets are not currently having sidewalks, curb gutter, and sidewalk, and those things. So we are recommending as part of the approval that Riverside, Heffron, what's the other one? Southwest Crescent and Orchard be improved. Orchard currently has curb gutter and sidewalk on one side, but adjacent to this particular development, it does not have sidewalks. It has a limited curb. At the end of Orchard, there is a proposed to have a cul-de-sac as it goes into the new road that will connect over into Peach. We do have some concerns about the road, the lots accessing onto Riverside because of the steepness of the slope of those particular lots going to be. We want to make sure that there's adequate sight distance. There are some fairly large curves on Riverside. So we were asking as part of the approval that they do a site analysis. Also, because of the slopes and stuff in the property, we know they're going to do some grading. So we would like to have them develop a grading plan and also to do testing and stuff to make sure the lots are buildable prior for the final approval. They are proposing to do this into 3 phases. The first phase will require some temporary cul-de-sacs because it will be the end of some proposed roads where they have a loop. The first phase will not include the loop, so they need to put temporary cul-de-sacs and work with the Public Works Department. One of the issues too that the developers working with the city is there's several different water zones in that area, which is a little bit over my head about what it is, but they are working to try to figure that out. Staff does recommend approval of this development, subject to a list of conditions, including putting curb and gutter and sidewalk on the existing roads where they're needed. That's my comments, Madam Chairperson.
Mike, in that first phase, how many homes are included in that first phase without me rummaging through the papers here?
Just off the top of my head, I believe I counted 43, but please don't quote me on that. That was a while back.
Okay, and this study for traffic was completed, is that correct? I'm seeing that if we wanted a copy of that, we could get it from you.
It's included in the, it was included in
It's
the
in the packet.
in the packet. Yeah,
Okay.
it's fairly lengthy, quite a few pages, a lot of diagrams, but basically the report came back that there is no off-site improvements needed.
And I think I read that if streets that were connecting, that the improvement would be their responsibility. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you clarify that?
So there are several extensions of existing streets, and some of these lots will front on existing roads. So those roads will need to be brought up to the city standards for new developments. So that would be, like you say, Heffron, Riverside, Northwest Crescent, Orchard, and a portion of Peach, I believe. I'm not sure there's much on Peach, but there's a little bit.
That's your sewer connection on Peach, isn't it?
Or
one of them?
I'm not going to claim to be an expert on it, but there's a different locations for sewers. Some of them are in the back, some of them, so where they exactly connect to our system, I'm not going to try to explain. I just know, according to Public Works and the information I have, sewer is available. It will have to be extended, and that's up to the developer to do that. Madam Chairperson, I think we're ready to open the public hearing.
Okay, let's go ahead and open the public hearing. And anyone who is here to represent themselves in this matter, please come forward and state your name and the city that you live in.
I believe Jack Lynch is representing the applicant, so it'd be appropriate for him to go first. I show him on there. I don't.
He's muted.
There he is. Mr. Lynch? Mr. Lynch? The applicant appears not to be responding, so. We can go on. It appears there are other people who would like to speak for or against this application. We can go to them, and hopefully by the time we come back, the applicant will be available.
Okay. I see an applicant of an Adam Schatz. Is that person here tonight?
No, Jack Lynch is the engineer on the project
Okay.
and is representing the applicant.
Oh, okay. There we go. Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to come forward and talk about this proposal?
Well, he
Okay, do we want to close the?
He had unmuted his, I don't know why we.
This is Jack Lynch. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. My name is Jack Lynch. I live in Kennewick, Washington. And one of the questions I had from Mike was the site survey that needs to be completed. Will that be done as part of phase 3?
Yeah, I see it being done as part of the development where the lots will actually be created. And I believe all the lots onto Riverside is part of phase 3.
Yeah, they're part of phase 3. I'm having a heck of a time with this phone, so if you need anything more from me, just let me know.
Whoever's speaking right now, you have your phone mic very close to a speaker. That's why you're getting that delay.
Yeah, if you can move back to your computer a little bit, Jack.
Okay. Maybe if I walk away from the computer.
Yes, that's
That'd be better.
improvement already.
Much better.
Okay. All right. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. I think Mike gave a very accurate description of what's being proposed.
I have one question. This is Commissioner Rand. On Southwest Crescent Ave along the canal, is there going to be any guardrails or anything put up?
That is not part of the plan at this time. I think the city is notifying the irrigation district that if they go against it, it's kind of the ball is in their court because they don't want it there at all.
I don't understand. They don't want the development there at all?
They don't want the guardrail there because it hinders their maintenance.
Oh, I understand. They don't want the guardrail there because it hinders their maintenance.
That's right. They didn't even want curb and gutter, but that's part of the plan now to put curb and gutter there, but no guardrail.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, so this is Chelsea Garcia, and I'm not sure why I have feedback. I'm only on a phone, but would it be better if I typed out my question?
I can't see it because I have to walk away from my computer to speak.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, there's not feedback anymore, so it sounds good. So we're already having a speeding issue on Merrick Avenue, which butts up against Orchard, which is now going to become open to this development. Is it possible, if this passes, to get speed bumps put in place on Merrick and Crescent? Because I've already had them come out with like the radar stuff, and animals are getting killed. And so I don't know, like people go down this road like 50 miles an hour. And if we add 140 houses, people are going to use these streets so much more, and it's just going to get way worse. They run the stop signs.
Yeah, that's probably a question for me to answer. you would have to talk with our public works director, as that is an existing street. And any
Okay.
changes to that existing street has to be approved by him.
Okay. So I would just talk to them because I think that's who I've talked to before already about
Yes.
like even putting additional stop signs or something. Okay.
Hi, Chelsea. Thanks for coming tonight. This is Commissioner Moore. You could also go to a city council meeting and bring that up at a meeting, and maybe that's something they can talk about changing the speed limit in that area in the future. As this topic will come up as it gets recommended to city council to be approved. So that's another option as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for coming tonight. Commissioners, did you have any other questions for Mr. Lynch? No? Okay. Mr. Lynch, thank you for coming tonight. We appreciate your patience.
No, thank you.
Mr. Lynch, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I had one question for you. I was curious, how many square feet are going to be donated by this asphalt? By his name is Adam Schatz. How many square feet are going to be donated to the city by this this
Yeah,
installation?
it's in excess of 33,000 square feet. But, if you count up all the frontage on Riverside, the additional frontage to make it viable on Southwest Crescent, and the straightening out some of the property lines on Heffron, it encompasses 33,000 feet that's going to be donated to the city.
Yeah, the little jog in the road there on Heffron, like kind of makes a little problem, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, the Heffron will clear it up quite a bit by having that 10 feet donated to the city as you make a right turn on to Riverside going north on Heffron.
Yeah, so all that traffic would go that direction, wouldn't it?
Actually, from this subdivision, there's very little that would go up Heffron. Riverside would probably be the people from on that front it, but most of the traffic goes on to Southwest Crescent and towards the city center.
And I'm understanding there's going to be new sewer that you guys are going to install from Orchard to Heffron. So that'll be new city sewer lines put in and dedicated?
Yes, it will be. Yes, it will.
Now, you're also going to install sewer from Peach Avenue to Orchard.
Yes, we are. And it will also utilize some of the existing sewer on the north side of the existing development behind, which would be north of Merrick.
Yeah.
This is Commissioner Rand again. I have one more question since we've come to this point. What do you estimate the value of this 120 lot development? Do you have a figure for that yet?
No, I do not. We're still under design, and I'm finishing up the sewer line right now, and it'll be under the storm system and a few other things, but the design is not fully completed yet.
Okay. If approved and everything, when do you anticipate starting construction?
We'd probably start as soon as I have a grading plan approved.
So I want this thing to move forward myself because my daughter lives down the road from that, and that would just improve that road almost all the way down to her house. So I really think this is a good development for our city, especially with 120 more lots. So I think it's a great thing that you guys are putting this money into our community and improving that side of town that sat ugly for so many years. So,
Yeah, you can thank Adam Schatz and Country Gals, his daughters. They're really wanting to move forward with this also.
well, that's good to hear. I'm glad to hear that. I'd love to see new housing come to our community. The more housing we get, the more industrial development we can have. We can't build our city unless we have housing for people to live in.
That's for sure.
Britton, that's all I have.
Any more questions for Mr. Lynch, commissioners?
I actually have a question, if I could.
Yes, please.
This
What's
is
your name
Debbie.
and where do you live?
Debbie Wilson. I live in Sunnyside on Merrick. I was just wondering, what do you think the sale price of these houses would be?
That is not my bailiwick. That would be for the builders to decide that. I'm just doing the subdivision and the civil site work to get lots available for sale.
No ballpark idea?
I can't. I don't think the expensive ones will be on Riverside in the future. The ones where the remaining 100 or so lots, I don't know. They have to meet the price range that sells, so that will be their decision, not mine.
Well, it is just a little concerning that the density is so much higher than the rest of the surrounding neighborhoods. So I'm not against development, but I'm not happy about that amount of houses being crammed into that small space.
I don't think the
thanks
lot
for-
sizes are any different. Okay, are any different than existing around Merrick, because we follow the same standards that the planning department set forth for quite a while now.
Well, if you look at the parcel map, they're almost two fitting into one of the parcels on Merrick and Crescent.
Okay, I can't really answer to that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening. That's just my opinion. And
Sure, thank you.
Mike, do you know what the average lot size is proposed?
Okay, just a second.
Well,
Mike,
this is Jack Lynch again. The minimum lot size for interior lots is 6,500 square feet, and corner lots have to be at least 7,500 square feet. And I think most of the interiors that we have are running right at 7,000 versus the 6,500.
Yeah, when I figured it out, the average lot size is 8,548, with the largest lot being 20,996 square feet and the smallest lot being 6,527 square feet.
Thanks, Mike.
That pretty much makes those lots bigger than any lots around. If they're 8,000 square feet, Mike, right? Because isn't the average lot in Sunnyside like 6,500 square feet?
It depends on the zone that it's in. Some of the R3 and R2 zones are smaller than that because they're allowed to go down to like 4,500 square feet, whereas the R1,
right,
the minimum lot size
So these
is 6,000 square feet.
So these are actually pretty big lots compared to, say, the ones out on Swan Road that they put in recently.
That is correct.
Yeah, so yeah, these are pretty big lots compared to what are normally done. So the lady that just spoke, I would like her. I hope she's still listening. That there's actually less houses here than in the normal development. In the normal development, you would have quite a few more homes. So it is pretty big lots.
Well,
Yeah.
she's just talking about, like, in the papers that we received, our lot size is about double the interior lots that you guys have proposed. So it is a lot of houses compared. Maybe in other areas it's not, but in this area where we've just had a couple streets and then a big open area, it's a lot of houses to envision shoved into that little canyons area. And we're just concerned.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And when you're used to nothing being there, and then all of a sudden this big lot, this big development comes in, change is hard sometimes. And then to see all of that change so quickly, I just hope that you later on think that it's a nice development for your neighborhood.
Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to make a comment or a question? Oh, wait just a second, just in case someone needs to unmute their phone. Okay. Any other questions, commissioners, for Mr. Lynch? Okay, I think we can close the public hearing. Mike, the last 3 pages, which is the findings of fact, on page 2, which would be the second to last page, we've got number 7, and then is that what our motion would be, or would it be on page, second to last page 3, number 1, under decisions and recommendations?
The motion I'm suggesting is the motion at the end of the staff report. And what that says is that you approve it, and that the planning commission authorizes you to execute the findings of fact, conclusion of law and decision as attached.
Okay.
Mike, do you have what page that's on?
I apologize. I did not number the staff report, but it's the last page of the staff report. Basically, it's the last portion of the whole packet, just before you get to the planning commission finding of fact, conclusion of law and recommendation. It'd be that page.
Okay, I found it. Yep.
Oh, there it is. Okay, so it's actually the 4th to the last page, the back of the 4th to the last page.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, does anyone want to make a motion on that, or is there still open discussion that somebody wants to talk about or has a question?
I had a couple things that I found out. This company that's doing this, they were the winner of, I guess it's the concrete, the AGC concrete, some big award for their concrete structures, their concrete work. I was up on North 16th Street and saw this company in action, and they were putting in really beautiful street curb and gutter sidewalks up there on North 16th Street. And then another thing that comes up is if we look at how much is the city going to benefit from the permits? How much is the property tax going to bring in? I'm pretty excited to see something like this come into Sunnyside. It's, I think it's been a long time coming. I heard they already have their 2 builders. They're going to use 2 contractors to build real quality houses. So it's not going to be a slam it in, I think it'll raise property values both down on Merrick and everywhere around it. I can't see it being anything but a good thing. And if there's no more discussion, I'd like to make a motion.
Mike, I'm assuming this is going to include appropriate street lighting and so on.
That's correct. That's
Okay.
as required by ordinance.
Okay, commissioners, does somebody want to make a motion?
I'd be happy to make a motion. I move that the Sunnyside Planning Commission recommends approval of the preliminary plat for Country Gals Estates Phase 1 through 3, and that the chairman of the Sunnyside Planning, chairperson of the Sunnyside Planning Commission is authorized to execute findings of fact, conclusions of law, and decisions that are consistent with the Planning Commission decision for and on behalf of the Sunnyside Planning Commission.
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion has been made by Commissioner Dolan and seconded by Commissioner Rowland. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those who oppose? Okay, motion has been approved. Very exciting stuff. And that will go to council for further approval, correct, Mike?
That is correct.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is comprehensive plan draft review. Staff, what do you have for us on that?
Okay, a couple months ago, I gave you a copy of a draft comprehensive plan and the land use map and the critical areas map for you to review. What I would like to do is move it forward and start some public meetings. Hopefully, I was hoping to have, time in December. I'm not sure with the COVID thing, but hopefully we can schedule some and probably in December and January for the public to weigh in on the draft plan and recommend changes or whatever they want to recommend. But I wanted to check with the planning commission to see if there's anything in there you think really needs to be changed before we do go out to the public.
I've gone through it. This would still be a Zoom situation, correct, Mike?
Yes, but basically what I would be doing is conducting the public meetings and then bringing the comments back to the planning commission at a public hearing probably in, quite frankly, probably February. I want to make sure the public has a chance to review that. What we will do is put it on our website and send out notices to those people who have asked to be involved in the process, and then maybe do a short article in the newspaper so people are aware of what we're doing.
Okay, so this is something we can still look through, or do we need to get a motion from you tonight to go ahead and go forward with it so you can plan the meeting?
Yeah, I think I'm going to move forward with it unless the planning commission sees some fatal flaws in there that we need to address before I do that. Because I'm suspecting that we will get comments from different organizations, probably specifically on the land use map. I don't know for sure. I've talked to a few people, but we haven't actually had any formal, normally in the planning commission, comprehensive planning process, you have these open houses where people can come and mark up maps and give you comments on things like, that area there has got this issue, so you don't want to do this. Or, yeah, everything looks great. That's just what we're looking for. And I gave it to the planning commission first, like I say, to make sure we're not saying something that's really not within what the planning commission. And we have a 60-day comment period that we have to send it to the Washington State Department of Commerce. And what they do is sending out to reviewing agencies to make sure this plan, if adopted, would be consistent with other plans in the area and with state plans.
So there's no harm in putting it forward because there could be possible changes going forward anyway, correct?
Correct. There is, until the council formally adopts it at the end of the process, changes can be made to the plan.
Okay.
Mike, as you know, I wasn't at the last meeting and I had taken that to Texas with me and left it there. I was hoping I could request another
Yes,
copy.
I will definitely get you another copy. Does anyone else need another copy?
Tom, do you want to look through it again before we
Oh, no, I
think
would
about
say,
moving forward, or?
no, I would say move forward on it. It was very thorough. What I did see and what I've read so far is very thorough. I'm very impressed that Mike did what he did. Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of information, and I think sitting on it doesn't do us any good. I think moving forward is a good idea, because if there's going to be changes that might come anyway, we'll still have time to look at it.
Yeah, I sure think we should move forward.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and move forward on the comprehensive plan draft review.
Second. I'll second that.
Your voices sound the same sometimes, guys. I'm not sure which.
Commissioner Gary.
Oh,
Oh, that's one of us.
A
Yeah,
second
either
motion
one
by
of us.
Commissioner Aguirre. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, motion has been made for a comprehensive plan draft review. And approved. Next, we've got public comments. Comments by members of the public on matters within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission, not on the current agenda. Is there anybody listening in the audience that has something that they'd like to comment on that was not on our agenda tonight? Or commissioners, any commissioners that have any comments?
Was this open to the public?
Yes, this is public comments and or planning commissioners.
I just have a question for Mike. Mike, has our new staff started working in the building department yet?
We have a new code enforcement officer that started about a month ago. We are having a difficulty getting the building inspector position filled. And one of the reasons is there is probably almost 20 jurisdictions looking for building inspectors at the same time that we are. And there are places like Bellevue and Kirkland and other areas which are, for a better term, pay better and maybe a little more desirable. Our building official was at a meeting recently, and yeah, the comments were a lot of people are looking. So we've put it in a lot of different publications and stuff, trying to get some people. We have not been successful with applications.
Darn. I was hoping you had good news for us. I mean, we do have good news. We have a new code enforcement that's going to help out quite a bit. I was just hoping that we had found a new building inspector. But well, we'll just say good luck and hopefully that we can find somebody soon.
If anybody knows of anyone, please send them to our website and have them fill out an application.
Okay, and any additional items from staff?
Just a continuation of the discussion we had last month about accessory dwellings and stuff. I hope to put a packet together for the December meeting to start talking about that. I really would like to get something back to the city council. We do have those two ordinances that we did recommend. I think we need to maybe go look at it again and come up with more background information to help the council in making their decision. And I think that I would like to have a discussion at the next meeting on that.
Okay.
I agree. I think that'd be a good discussion.
Okay.
The next regular meeting is set for December 14th. Does everyone have a clear day for that meeting, evening for that meeting?
Yes.
I'm good to go on that.
I'm pretty good.
December 14th?
Okay. December 14th, Tuesday.
Okay, yeah, I'm good on that one.
Great.
Okay.
And commissioners, do you have any comments, commissioners?
That's a 7.
Okay. Time is 6:56. We can adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Thank you,
Everybody
everybody.
have a good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.